Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so it's a pleasure to have you. So let me begin with Zama. First of all, I'd like to hear both of your thoughts on, this expulsion. But let me begin with Zama. Let's hear from you.
Thank you so much. Well, for us as the African Transformation Movement, it is truly regrettable, but not surprising. You must also understand the climate that we find ourselves in. When you look at currently the misinformation which was promulgated by the likes of AfriForum and also Solidarity on the matter that has to do with the expropriation bill and issues around the matters of white people in this country. It is regrettable that the American government has actually taken this stance without engaging South Africans in general, especially the government, about what we mean about the Expropriation Act bill, and also when it speaks about targeting when it comes to issues of some matters. Truly, one, if you look at the broader context of the challenges that we're faced with the country, and you look at the demographics versus the percentages of the matter stats, you will truly see that though there are white people that are dying in this country, but it is not a targeted group, because 5 to 8 times more than what you find happening with white people, it is happening with black people in this country. So if you want to speak about targeting, you would have to speak to that. It is truly regrettable that we find ourselves in this. And truly, when you listen to the advancement from where we are as the African Transformation Movement, it is truly a reflection of what we are saying in the country. It did not say anything extra. It is what we are saying in the country, and therefore it is truly regrettable that the Americans have actually taken this kind of posture towards South Africa.
All right, now let's hear from Mr. Breakfast. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm also not taken aback by the turn of events. I saw it coming largely because I think what broke the camel's back was the grievance that we instituted against Israel. As you know, that what is happening between Israel and Hamas is actually supported by the U.S. Israel is a proxy of the U.S. So I think Trump and his executive, his administration, they are holding a grudge against us. And I think they've been wanting to punish us for what we did. And this was a golden opportunity for them to do that. Now, I also think that in as much as the foreign policy of the U.S. has contradictions, because on the one hand, they purport to be promoting democracy, human rights. They say they are the founding fathers or the founding mothers of democracy. On the other hand, when it suits them, they turn a blind eye to the violation of human rights in other places around the world. But regardless of that, I just think that with regard to the issue of the ambassador, Ebrahim Rasool, I think because of the cap that he wears, in my opinion, he should have been at least circumspect in terms of what he says in his capacity as the ambassador, regardless of whether what he said is on point or not, and not play into the hands of people who have issues with us, because he just gave them a golden opportunity to take a swipe at us, and I mean the relationship had already broken down, and to mend this relationship, I think is going to be a mammoth task.
All right, let's hear from you, Zama. Now you heard Mr. Breakfast saying that it was a golden opportunity for the U.S. to punish South Africa, and we all know that it is highly unusual for the U.S. to expel a senior diplomat. What does this message send, about the current state of U.S. foreign policy and how it might impact bilateral ties going forward?
Thank you so much. Well, for us as the African Transformation Movement, it says that it is not business as usual as far as the United States of America is concerned. they are truly sending a very strong message in this day and time that their level of tolerance of anything, specifically with individuals they are targeting, is truly not as it was back in the day. So for us as the African Transformation Movement, it is truly regrettable that a country that has promulgated itself or actually placed itself as a champion of human rights would be part of the countries, one, that speak to censorship, that speaks, that speaks against the issue of allowing individuals to actually express themselves fully. And also, I think it is regrettable that this same country, though not shocking, whenever the United States in the past wanted to make a statement, it will trample over the very rights that it says it champions because it wants to send that strong message. One would have thought that this particular president would be a president that would be mindful of those when making America great again. It is not making America great in isolation or making America great at the expense of others. Already we have a history as Africa with America, that America would actually use Africans to actually go ahead to grow. We have a history of slavery. We have a history of the use of our mineral resources, the history of cheap labor, and the list can go on. You would hope that in this day and age, we would find a different America, an America that does not want to speak about human rights only in the context of America, but an America that wants to champion human rights holistically across the world. It's unfortunate that we find ourselves in this situation right now.
Zama, but shouldn't
moving forward, it just says that
shouldn't the president, Ramaphosa, be making moves to speak to the President of the United States, on this?
Well, as according to reports, AfriForum and Solidarity seem to be able to find that audience with the American president more than we are as a legally constituted state, and that is disturbing for us as the African Transformation Movement. We truly believe that we need to find a way to find each other. But from where the Americans are standing, and especially when it comes to them wanting to punish us for the so-called sin that we have committed against Israel, as if there was nothing wrong with what the Israelis were doing to Palestinians, as if they needed us to actually tell them of what was happening. So
Hello, Zama, we can't hear you. All right, let's move on while you fix your audio, Zama. Now, coming back to you, Mr. Breakfast, you heard what Zama actually said, that South Africa is being punished for the sin committed against Israel. Do you think it is connected?
Yes, of course, there is a strong nexus. There is a strong nexus between the two. Because Israel has been supported financially by the US in terms of executing its military operations. They get funding from the US. That is the same as Ukraine. I mean, of course, there have been other issues of late, but when it comes to Israel, throughout the years, they've always been funded by the US. And also the support base of Trump is that of Christians who are in support of Zionism. So that one is very much clear. But I think the relationship between us and them is very strategic because America is the second largest trading partner with South Africa after China, which is the biggest one. So this is a relationship that we can't let go of. For strategic reasons. Yes, we can gravitate to other parts of the world in terms of strengthening our multilateral and bilateral relations. But I think we are on the back foot at the moment, and I think maybe one should have been circumspect in terms of asserting, something like what Ambassador Rasool said, because I just think that he gave them something to use against us.
Okay, now in addition, Rasool, during the lecture warned that Trump's policies were projecting white victimhood as a dog whistle, amid projections that the U.S.'s voting electorate could become only 48% white. How do these demographic fears, drive political narratives on both sides? This is for you, Mr. Breakfast.
Yes, I mean, discourses are framed, There seems to be an ideological alignment between, conservatists, both in the US and also in South Africa. If you look at the people that have solicited for an audience to pitch their message to Trump, the organizations that have gone there, which happen to belong in a particular race. So the concerns that they've raised are really off the mark. And it's quite sad that the US has, one of the most, if not the most sophisticated intelligence apparatus in terms of, intercepting threats. Surely if there was an onslaught against white farmers, they would have known that. They knew about us. It was an allegation uploading arms into the ship called Lady R. Before the story broke, they intercepted the threat. So how can now they be sold a dummy by this or that organization and believe something that does not exist, unless there's always been a view that they hold about us, and now they want to use any story as a scapegoat to hurt us.
Okay. Now, speaking of, using any story as a scapegoat to hurt South Africa, Zama, back to you. An executive order recently froze U.S. aid to South Africa over claims of unjust racial discrimination against white Afrikaners. Now, given that whites constitutes only 7.2% of the population, but own 72% of the farmlands, how do you reconcile these figures with the claim of racial targeting? Hello, Zama.
Thank you so much. I would like to start with that issue of America believes what it... Hello? I don't know if you can still hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. Please go ahead, Zama.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right, thank you so much. Yes, I wanted to start with that issue of America believes what it wants to believe. America can manufacture the truth so that it fits their narrative. What do we now know about Iraqi and weapons of mass destruction? So it has often been seen through history that the truth becomes what America chooses to make it be. So even in this case, it is not because they do not know. American operatives and intelligence agencies are all over the world. They know the truth, but they decide which is the truth to fit the narrative. This is why I'm more inclined to what Dr. Breakfast was saying on the issue of, in this case, we're being punished for something else and not for what is actually taking place here. Because America actually advances and even manufactures lies so as to fit a narrative that they want. And when it comes to the issue of murders and targeting of white people in this country, in South Africa we have anything between 74 murders to 84 murders a day. Now in those, by far, those people are black people. So if the issue of murder was around the incompetence of the South African administration in dealing with murder in general, and not speaking to a particular demographic then I will give the AfriForum and solidarity that the South African government is actually negligent to the rampant murder cases that are unsolved in the country. But to limit the phenomenon to a particular grouping, it is actually for us a testament to how these groups are actually moving around, spreading lies, because they want those lies to fit a particular narrative. So for us as the African Transformation Movement, we're very clear on this matter. AfriForum and actually Solidarity, they actually must be charged for actually mobilizing against the state. It is treasonous what they have done. And because the U.S. is looking for a thread to hold on, they have actually done that because they've been waiting for an opportunity. So as far as we are concerned, the U.S. does not need truth on the matter. It creates the truth that it wants to see so that it advances the narrative that it wants to advance because it wants to punish. It is premeditated.
Okay, Zama, still on you. You talked about, them going about spreading lies to feed a narrative and also, looking for a thread to hold on to. But, what does this say about politicizing diplomatic discourse?
Is that coming to me?
Yes, Zama, it's for you.
Yes, I think there is a level of cautiousness that we need to get to when we thread into those waters. It is true, I agree as well with what the good doctor had said earlier on, that any ambassador, wise ambassador, understanding how murky the waters are, you then understand that the terrain you are in requires you to actually be wise. Don't move with your heart, move with your mind. Know what time it is and what is it that you need to say. This is where now, even though you know that you are right at times, it becomes imperative to say the truth that I hold is not for the present time because of the harshness of the environment and what is it that is globally taking place. It does not make you a coward to actually decide not to advance some truths, even though they are necessary, and you are not backing down on them. But because you understand what time is it, and you understand the global climate, and you understand what is happening currently between your country and the country you are deployed in, it needs one to actually navigate cautiously. It's unfortunate that at times this parameter becomes somewhat cloudy for some, where the enthusiasm of one to advance or go overboard to explaining themselves and the issue of how right the country of their native countries are and not knowing where they are. So unfortunately, I think we might have missed a golden opportunity there, but I do not think that he was wrong. It is just that it might have not been the right time to advance the assertions that he actually advanced.
All right, now let's come back to you, Mr. Breakfast. Now, your government described the U.S.'s move as based on misinformation and propaganda. In your view, does this diplomatic spat affect South Africa's role as a regional leader in Africa?
Not really. I don't think so. Unless there is a propaganda machinery campaign against South Africa. But I like the point that Mr. Zama Ntshona made that, and I'm paraphrasing what he said, that our relationship with the media is a relationship of power. And the role of the media is not only to report about news, but also to frame discourses. And the media, by and large, is owned by the U.S., and the US chooses how to frame discourses and how to frame narratives. Why? In order to influence public perceptions. So I think this also might be part of their propaganda machinery campaign. I don't think that South Africa has lost its hegemonic, and I'm using the word hegemonic on purpose, hegemonic influence on the continent. I mean, South Africa has a strong footprint in many peacekeeping missions, peace initiatives on the continent. So I don't think that has been affected by our relationship with the US, unless, like I said, I mean, there's a propaganda machinery campaign to paint a picture which does not exist.
Okay, Mr. Breakfast, well, since, ties are already deteriorating since Trump took office, could this expulsion signal a broader realignment in U.S. relations with African countries?
No, I don't think. I mean, Trump. Remember what he called Africa. I cannot describe that or use the words that he used in public. But Trump has a total disregard of the African continent. He doesn't respect the African leaders and the African people. So I don't think that. He has an interest. The only interest he has, Mr. Zama Ntshona did indicate earlier on that the economy of South Africa, including other economies, they are controlled by multinationals in South Africa, for instance, you have Anglo-American that controls the minerals there. You know what I mean? And those minerals are owned by people who also own other sectors of the economy. The only thing the US that is interested in is accumulation, capital accumulation, not to promote development on the African continent or anything of the sort.
Okay. Now, Zama, how do you think that this move by the US would influence domestic politics within South Africa itself? Where the ANC-led government is already navigating complex racial and economic divisions?
I think specifically when it comes, I think specifically when it comes to the issue of the two parties that have led the so-called revolution, for lack of a better word, that changes the narrative. There is pressure inside the country to say we can't have laws and not use them. And that if we now get to a part where now we have to criminally charge these individuals, that also changes the narrative internally. So the move by the states to actually believe the AfriForum and solidarity on the propaganda machinery narrative that they have actually fed the United States of America, which is now having ripple effect inside the country. We already know about US aid, and we are waiting to see where else is this going to expand to. It has now affected the ambassador. Where else are we going with this relationship? Now, as the pressure mounts from the outside, so will be the case from the inside, because those who actually sold false narrative to allow the US to actually find a hinge that they have actually crunched on, so that they actually move in this direction, where that kind of pressure is going to create some kind of problems internally. And also, when the ANC, as it had led with us as other opposition parties on the issue of Israel, Conte now listens to us, and then we go after solidarity and AfriForum. Seemingly consistent what has happened, the U.S. will also continue to actually exert pressure in the name of saving the political parties in question. So this issue seems to be an issue that is going to go forward for us as the African Transformation Movement, not just with this, because if left unclarified, and the U.S. continues to believe the propaganda, it seems whatever move we make towards AfriForum or solidarity will continue to meet the resistance from the United States. And whatever resistance we find from the United States, it further deteriorates the quality of the engagements and the relationship that we have. And that then strains what happens within the boundaries and the borders of the Republic of South Africa.
Okay. Now, Mr. Breakfast, by declaring Ambassador Rasool persona non grata, what precedent does the U.S. set for handling diplomatic disagreements? You know, especially when it comes to emboldening, you know, similar actions in the future, and also, you know, will there be a replacement for Ambassador Rasool, or will the expulsion of South Africa, you know, be indefinite?
I think this stalemate is an expression of lack of application of diplomacy on both sides. You know, diplomacy is not just a subset of foreign policy, is more than that. Diplomacy is the application of your political agenda in a very skillful way that showcases decorum. So I think this thing of Rasool, though the Americans have been wanting to lambast us or to hurt us, but it could have been avoided, because even the administration of Trump, they have no diplomacy. I mean, look at what they did to the other guy from Ukraine, embarrassing him. I beg your pardon?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, Zelensky, you know, embarrassing him in front of the press, you know, and taking a swipe at him. So that is not diplomacy. So that is megaphone diplomacy. So when it suits them, they can be undiplomatic, but when it doesn't suit them, they don't accept that from other people, because they are accusing now, the other guy that they kicked out of being a persona non grata. So I think it's going to be very difficult to maneuver around this in terms of de-escalating the magnitude of this conflict, because it looks like these guys don't want to sit at the table with us and find ways and means of walking out of this conflict. And I suspect that the next move will be to revoke the agreement between us and them regarding AGOA.
So you're saying that there is no possibility of repairing the relationship?
Yeah, I think that is everyone's guess, but I don't get the sense that they are committed to this relationship, because you can see that they are using soft power to force us to, you know, give in to some of the demands that they are making. We know, for instance, that Elon Musk, who is very close to the president of the US, has business interest in South Africa, and he is vehemently opposed to the transformative policies which are meant to level the playing field between black people and white people. I get the sense that maybe some of the soft power tactics which are employed, they are employed to make us to give in to those demands of doing away with transformation, racially inspired policies, and they are supported, in my view, by other multilateral institutions. We had the a report from the IMF.
Okay, Mr. Breakfast. Sadly, time is not on our side, but let's quickly hear from, Zama in 1 minute what you think, if there is a possibility, for repairing the trust and actually reestablishing dialogue.
It is always possible to restore the relations, but I truly doubt that there is commitment. I think bullyism is at the center of this particular relationship, and I sense that America sees an opportunity. They look at us and see us as weak. And in them seeing us as weak, I do not think that they are going to let go till we concede to what they want. So unfortunately, I do not see any play where South Africa is able to come back on this. And I do not see how the U.S. would actually take their hands or their feet off the pedal right now.
Okay.
They feel they have us where they want us, and I think that they are not going to stop till they get what they want.
All right. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time and for speaking to us on this. Ntsikelelo Breakfast, political analyst, and also Zama Ntshona, national spokesperson, African Transformative Movement. We appreciate you for your time.
Thank you very much.